All right, we are live. Good to be here. Exciting week in smart home news. All kinds of stuff always going on. It seems like it just never slows down these days. Of course, Apple has a lot of stuff with iOS 18.4, and we will talk about that kind of at the top of the show here. I actually need to pull up my iPhone mirroring though, so give me a minute with that. Hopefully my audio is coming through okay. But I'm here on iOS 18.4. Let me go ahead and pull up my living room. Oh, where was I going to do it? Okay, here we go. So if I go ahead and share this, let's see, allow, okay, and I need to, hey Brian, hey Suf Bay Dad, there. So here's my iPhone, right? And then if I scroll down here, look what's cleaning, my robot vacuum. So this is a quick preview of what robot vacuums look like in iOS 18.4. I have early access to a model that you'll see a video about from me soon. But of course, I could send it to Doc. My wife actually has it upstairs cleaning the house because the kids are in bed now and things. So we can't get into too many details here, but you can choose whether right here if you want to vacuum or mop it. And you can choose if you want to pause it or send it to the dock. And then, of course, you get the little tile status here showing what's going on. Right now it's cleaning, so that's the status. And you can also configure, too, like right now it's cleaning the kitchen, but you can select different rooms or have it clean, specific areas as it has it defined in whatever robot vacuum app, because it's part of the Matter standard. And, some people are complaining those don't correlate to rooms. I don't think that's that big of a deal. I think it's completely fine to have the rooms in the vacuum, which might be zones that kind of pertain to how the vacuum cleans, not necessarily how you organize your house with lights and other things. So as long as the names make sense to you and the other people you live with, I think it would be too difficult because Matter has no concept of rooms to somehow make them all correlate. But yeah, so that's just a quick look at robot vacuums in iOS 18.4, and you'll be hearing more about that from me on the channel soon. Brian, I have not tried putting it in a widget. That's a good question. Let me just go ahead and edit the widgets here on my, let's put a home widget out. Okay. So I put a home widget in the middle of my screen. We'll go ahead and share this again. Oh, yeah, but with eCam, you can't see my widgets. Never mind. I guess I could go back to my phone and mirror again. Let's try that really quick. Bear with me here. And I'll say hi to some folks in the chat while I'm doing it. Good evening, William. Good evening, Mike. Pierre. Hey there from Florida. Cool. Yes, I bet nice warm weather there. We've had some great weather up here in Illinois, though, as I talked about on my Instagram stories today. Hey, you made it, Waterbell 365. Yeah, the time change maybe worked in your favor or didn't get in your way. Hello, Garrett from Troy, New York. Edgar's Home Tech, another great channel. Nice to see you here, Edgar. I think often of that time we had dinner in Vegas. It was fun. So hi, Tika from LA and Robert from Australia. Yes. For those of you Formula One fans, we got the practice for Formula One coming up in a little less than a half an hour. So I will probably tune into the recording of that a little bit after, but it's exciting to have the Formula One season starting. So let's go ahead. I'm now here on my iPhone. Now I'm going to go to the home screen and see. Whoops. See if I can make a widget. Add widget. Home. Let me show some of this stuff I don't want to show just yet. So I'm kind of in this like boring state where you're just hearing me talk about this while I put this on the screen. Just give me a second here. There we go. Edit widget, recommended, turned off. Now I can show you guys what I'm doing. There we go. So I'm going to add a new item here. And then, whoops. Downstairs vacuum. Here's your answer, Brian. So I added that there. And then you can see the status right there in the widget. I'm going to go ahead and edit the, I think it's just going to be, let's see what happens when now it's charging. So let's see what happens when I trigger it. Okay. It just takes me to the vacuum in the home app, which, oh well, could be better, but that's fine. Oops. That is actually a funny smart home fail. If you didn't see it on camera because I had my iPhone up, but my lights all just went out in this room because I have a button upstairs that I have yet to actually unlink for my office. And my wife does not know this. And so she'll hit the button, and depending on I think it's the double tap is still for down here. Anyways, but I need to troubleshoot and fix that this weekend. So that's why my lights just went out, is sometimes she'll double tap that button and then boom, I'm in the dark down here. So that's what happens when you have a smart home, is sometimes it's so helpful. Yes, Robert, I'm also a Ferrari fan. I'm excited to see Lewis and Charles as well. Can't wait to see what they're able to pull off this year. I am very pumped. So, yes. And I've been loving, speaking of Robert, I've been loving a lot of the social media, like YouTube content coming from a lot of these teams and drivers, including Ferrari. They've just had a lot of great stuff out on YouTube, and of course then Netflix as well. But beyond just the creators like Kim Illman who cover Formula One, there's just some great content straight from the drivers and teams. More on YouTube this year than I think previous years. It's been more Instagram, Threads, other social media than YouTube. So how much do you know about HomeKit for the European market? I don't know tons, Robert. I know it's available, and I know, there's some different accessories and things, but you might, if you have a question, feel free to ask it. I think there are usually folks who tune in from Europe, either live or often after the fact, since it's very, very late for Europe, unfortunately. I used to have more European viewers with my live stream when I did it on Friday afternoons, but that time doesn't work out so well for me anymore. So that's why we're here at night. But sometimes I think folks from Europe, tune in other times. Yes, I agree, Robert. Kim is amazing. Awesome. So other news, South by Southwest, believe it or not, is actually a place for yet another thing to happen in the tech industry. It seems like that conference is like a catch-all of all kinds of random stuff. But there's actually some smart home news coming out of South by Southwest this year. I'm going to put this on the screen here. This was announced, promoted at the conference. And this is Pila Energy. It's like a pile of energy, but a Pila battery. And it's a kind of cool idea, I think, because I have not reserved one myself, although I've been talking to the company, so I'm hoping we'll be able to get one of these on the channel later this year. But, a lot of people have batteries that they put in their home that are installed by professionals. And here, I'm going to try and get you a better angle on this here and add back my view so you can see me. That somehow disappeared here. There we go. So Pila Energy, it's just like, it's a battery that can go like on top of your refrigerator, maybe other places in your home, gives you some nice power backup, but you don't need to hire, some professional installer to put in some huge system of batteries and electrical control systems in, let's say, your garage or somewhere else like your basement. So Pila announced it South by Southwest, and I think it's really cool. So Undecided, Matt Farrell, who we talked about last week, another great creator on YouTube, a very big creator, especially focusing on the energy space as well. He's been talking about this and I think was at South by Southwest with the company. But yeah, I'm excited to see this actually come to market later this year. I think it's a cool idea, and I think a very practical idea for handling power outages and keeping critical things like your refrigerator or other stuff, of course, your computer to watch YouTube, things like that online. But, also, like, I'm kind of in an unusual position right now because it just so happens like where I live, I rarely ever lose power. I can't remember very many times we've lost power for more than like an hour. So it's definitely not been that way for most of my life. And it's plenty of people obviously lose power with natural disasters. We just haven't had one that's actually taken out our power specifically where we live. People around us have lost power. I don't know what it is, but yeah. So I can't complain about that, but I'll certainly still be able to put this battery to the test if I'm able to get my hands on it. But I just want to call your attention to it as you might be interested as well. So with that, moving on to the home architecture upgrade. So Apple will now basically require users to move to the new home architecture. I know I was tuning into Shane's live stream yesterday, and he was talking about this. I just think if you're not on the new architecture, I get it. I understand maybe you haven't wanted to or felt the need to, but you really should at this point. It's so much better. And so much better, especially with Matter accessories, I think. And clearly Apple doesn't want to have to support the legacy architecture anymore. They want to completely move off of it. And that's what they're doing with iOS 18.4. Playing with iOS 18.4 really does seem like a polish release for a lot of the smart home stuff. I think, based on the rumors, it was probably the release where Apple might have thought that they were going to also release a smart display. Of course, that's been delayed with the whole changeover to just like getting the intents to work and getting all of that new smarter Siri to be safe to ship. I'm guessing, I have no inside info, but I'm guessing a lot of the delay on shipping the new Siri is security related, as well as some of the stuff I talked about last week with the mixture of experts. But I think some of the speculation on preventing against prompt injection for things like I could send you an email and then it would have some code that your Siri on your device would read, and then it would somehow do something malicious to your phone. I could see that really being a problem and kind of hard to code against. So I think Apple has probably had a hard challenge there. So we'll see what actually ships there. But I'm guessing that 18.4 was probably the release they thought would be with the smart display. But of course, that's been delayed. So we'll see what happens with the smart display. But I think either way, it's great to get a lot of these new features in iOS 18.4 coming next week. So if you're just tuning in, we talked at the beginning of the stream about the new robot vacuum integration with Matter with iOS 18.4. It's in beta with Apple products, and a lot of vacuum manufacturers have yet to roll out their firmware. I have heard, I think Andrew from Apple Insider is mentioning Ecovacs, which I've been playing with as well. Their firmware is going to roll out on the 20th of March or start rolling out to users. I've had early access to that, and it's been great. So video coming on the channel with more about Ecovacs and the Apple Home integration. But in the meantime, wanted to talk about that and 18.4 and go upgrade your home architecture if you haven't already. So another piece of news that I thought was kind of interesting and also sad, but makes sense, is Sonos canceling their Streambox. This came out yesterday morning. Chris Welch, if you don't follow Sonos news closely, Chris Welch at The Verge, I mean, he's a great audio reporter and covers a lot of smart home audio and headphones and things like that, amongst other things at The Verge. But he's kind of like the Mark Gurman of Sonos. Like Mark Gurman is really dialed into the Apple rumors, and Chris is really dialed into Sonos and has clearly some good sources there and has broken a lot of stories in the past about Sonos with rumors. And he's saying that this whole rumored set-top box, codenamed Pinewood, has been canceled, at least put on hold by the new CEO, Tom Conrad. We talked, a number of streams ago now about the new Sonos CEO, Tom Conrad, and how he's been shaking up the company. But I think, there's two sides that this article gets into around the Sonos canceling this. One is, of course, they need to be focusing on the basics of just making sure they're able to ship what they need to ship with audio and their app and reliability and making sure they don't have bugs and just their core product. I think a lot of people still would like to see more improvements. I'm pretty happy with where things are with Sonos these days, but I know there are plenty of people who feel differently. And so I could see how it would make a lot of their users upset if they're continuing to roll out new categories of products, not just new speakers, and they haven't done what people think they should to fix their problems. And I also think that, as Chris mentioned in the article, it's just like there's the risk that they would be going into another product category that has a lot of entrenched existing players. Of course, the Apple TV, which we talk about a lot on this channel, and then Roku and Amazon and some others that have those TV set-top boxes. And they tried to do a headphone model last year, and that's another category where, yes, Sonos can make a good product, but there's a lot of great companies making great headphones out there. It's a very competitive market. And so for Sonos to try and take a stab at that, I don't think it turned out as well as they had hoped. It might be part of why Tom Conrad has the job now, although in large part I think it was due to the app issues last year. But so bummer for Sonos. I was really hoping that Sonos would be the first company to allow you to kind of play back video on TVs like they do on speakers. So like I could be on my phone, I could pick up my phone and tell my phone, hey, play this on this TV, and then boom, that would cause the box to turn on the TV and then start playing that content on that TV, and then my phone would have nothing to do with it. It's not like AirPlay or something like that. And Chromecast kind of works this way, but I think Sonos could do some cool things there. I don't even know if that's what they're working on with their set-top box, but I think it would be really nice, especially when you think about, like, we have kids. Our kids don't watch TV all the time, obviously, but if we want to put something on, it could be nice to just boop, 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 do it on your phone, and then boom, there's videos that the kids want to see playing on the TV, and you didn't have to pick up the remote or even go into the room. It just all happens. Which, pro tip, by the way, if you have kids and you have an Apple TV, if you want to turn it, but what I often do is, like, if I want to have the children stop watching TV, whatever they're watching, I just ask my HomePod to turn off living room Apple TV or turn off basement Apple TV. And that we have, relatively recent TVs. And so we have HDMI CEC then hooked up through the HDMI cables. So then the Apple TV shuts off, which obviously stops the video playing and shuts off the TV or the projector. And then, of course, the kids come and find you because it stopped. And that's what I want them to do at that time is, watching TV time is over. We need to go on and do something else. And you don't even have to go to the TV to do it. You just tell a HomePod and boom, it's taken care of in another part of the house, which is kind of a fun trick to keep up your sleeve if you have children or other people who are watching television and you want to do that. Oh, cool, Rodrigo. Oops, I missized that. That's a really good point on Pila. I did not know that Pila is battery in Spanish, but that makes sense. So I always thought of it as just like a play on the words of a pile of energy, right? Like a battery is a pile. So, but yeah, Pila or Pila, maybe I'm saying it wrong, but yeah, that's cool. Thanks for clarifying that. And then getting back to no, I did not see that. That is interesting, Brian. Kind of like how people use iPads as displays. I guess Apple Watches can be kind of like that. Huh. Oh, that's another great point. Yeah, you can ask it to do it at a particular time. Water bottle 365, and then it will turn off the living room Apple TV at 8 p.m. That's nice. Kind of like a quick way to set like a sleeping timer, so to speak, or like, hey, I need to be done watching TV at this time. Take care of it. Oh, the Z wave. Yes, that was. I can't really do the full dance when I'm sitting down, but yeah, it was there. We were at. For those who don't know the context of what Robert's talking about, I think the video came out on Modern Day Tech Eric's Instagram or somewhere, but Tuesday morning at CES, the Z-Wave Alliance, which sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but it's actually the group that behind the Z-Wave radio frequency, radio standard, so to speak, for smart homes. They put on like a breakfast and kind of a demo about a bunch of different products and things. A bunch of us smart home creators were there. And then we were just standing around talking before or after that. And I was like, hey, do the Z Wave. So, and then Eric made like a reel or a story about it. So Eric Modern Day Tech. So yeah, that's the Z Wave. Cause it's like, you just go this way and then you're making a Z. It's seemed natural to me. So speaking of, here he is, Modern Day Tech, Z Wave. Yes. I'm just going to mention this here, Eric, putting you on the spot. I haven't talked to you at all, but I keep having on my list, Eric, Modern Day Tech. I want to, I'd love to have you on here as a guest if you're available sometime. So we need to talk, after the stream or some other time and actually coordinate and find a date where you can come on as a guest. Cause I'd love to have you here on the show, which actually brings up, another person or two people that I'm having as a guest next week on the 20th is, I think it was Zane, who's another regular viewer of my live stream and Shane's live stream, wanted to see George, Shane, and I together on a live stream. And it's kind of hard to do 4 people, but I think we can do 3 people at once with the guest system and eCam. Maybe we could do more, but I'm just worried about with internet connections and syncing audio and stuff. But yeah, so Shane and George and I will be here together on the live stream next week, which I'm very excited about. So, and then, yeah, we'll have to get you, Eric Modern Day Tech as well on here one of these days. Just kind of getting a bunch of smart home creators. Also, Edgar, Smart Home Tech, Brandon. There's a lot of people on here who I'd love to have as guests. Sometimes, like tonight, you see me without a guest because finding a guest, scheduling them, making sure they know all the details and stuff, it's just overhead that sometimes I don't always have a chance to do or do it in time to actually get there. So, hey, Brandon, how's it going? Nice to see you. I was on YouTube not for watching YouTube earlier, but I saw your thumbnail come up for your new house tour. I've not had a chance to watch it. Looks cool. Patrick Wessels, nice to see you here. Long time no see. Yes. Yeah. Have I thought about being a member of the Z-Wave Alliance? Yes. No, I don't think the force is not strong with me or whatever you would say. No, I mean, it's just, I think it's specifically for the companies who actually ship products that use the Z-Wave radio standard and Z-Wave chipsets that support Z-Wave. So, yeah, I don't ship any smart home hardware myself, at least anytime in the near future. And yeah, Z-Wave's actually kind of an interesting thing because it's becoming more esoteric, but it's really impressive technically. But it's also like it is used in some pretty big name products. I think isn't Ring running on Z-Wave, and there's a couple of other like big smart home systems where you just install a hub and it's a Z-Wave hub. But then of course it's popular in a lot of the kind of do-it-yourself home assistant community because there's lots of things you can do with running Z-Wave. And so, yes, Brandon, nice to see you here. I already said hi to Brandon. Sorry. Sorry, Brandon. Yes. Okay, cool. So yes, Modern Day Tech will be here one of these days on the channel, on the stream. So good to have you. It'd be fun to have you here. So other like things I was thinking about with smart home tech this week that I wanted to talk about. We covered most of the news stories I wanted to get to earlier, but in one of my videos earlier this year, I was talking about how I want to try out robot mowers, and I was looking at all the different robot mowers at CES, and I've heard from other folks that, well, I guess I'll leave it at that because there's something I want to say with that, but we're going to jump to something else that I wanted to talk about really quick because I think it's also kind of following up on a previous live stream. I'm going to have to take my my cards out of this so I don't dox myself with showing my ID or credit card on the stream. But this is my MOFT wallet stand. So I talked previously about the OtterBox wallet, and that is better if you want to fit. And the OtterBox one was cactus leather. We talked about that a while ago. It's better if you want to fit a lot of cards in a MagSafe wallet, but this is the MagSafe wallet from MOFT. And I'd seen this for a while and thought, I don't really need this. It's not essential. But then it was on sale on Amazon. I just went ahead and picked it up. And it fits 3 cards. I usually have my driver's license, my health insurance card, and 1 credit card or debit card in here. So like just the essentials. And but then it's also a stand for your phone. And so I really like just this kind of setup here, where then you can use it as a phone stand, landscape, or portrait, and then you just have it built into the wallet here in the back, and it's pretty easy to deploy. So definitely a cool MagSafe wallet. And I've been meaning to call it out here on the live stream for a while, but that's the MOFT wallet stand. Let me pull up that on Amazon while we are so you guys know exactly what I am talking about. Yes. This is it. So here's the, now they want me to sign up for their list. But yes, this is the MOFT wallet stand. It is, I'm not sure exactly what material it's made out of. I don't think it's real leather. It feels like one of these fake leathers, but I'm not sure. But it comes in all kinds of different colors, can be a fun accessory to throw on your phone. Of course, if your phone supports MagSafe, which talked about a few weeks ago about the iPhone 16e does not support MagSafe. But I think most people who are tuning into this stream probably aren't buying an iPhone 16e. So that is the MOFT case. Now back to the robot mowers, because I think, so I've heard from folks that, speaking of smart home tech in Europe, which was something mentioned earlier, I've heard that robot mowers are more popular in Europe. And I think one of the challenges that robot mowers will have in terms of getting a lot of people in the US to buy them is just that I think in the US, it's more common and easier to hire someone to mow your grass. I have had now, I mowed my own grass last year, but in previous years I'd had someone mow my grass, and I'm bringing them back this year. And, it could be anybody from the middle schooler down the street from you in the neighborhood to someone much more professional. There's all different levels of lawn care, but I think there's a lot of people doing that in the U.S., and so it's easier to find someone to mow your grass here in the U.S. Maybe, I don't know. I've never hired someone to mow my grass in Europe. I don't live there. So, but that's just a guess of why maybe robots would be more popular there. Whereas robot vacuums, which we talked about earlier with the new Matter integration I was showing you, that's a little bit different, because usually to get someone to vacuum your home, you're hiring someone to actually like fully clean your house. And that's a much bigger job and higher costs and stuff. So there can actually be some significant time savings for someone getting a robot vacuum. But to get a robot mower, and or also like Brandon was talking about in his channel, the robot, like a robot snowblower, like the Yarbo snowblower, very cool tech, very fun to look at. But I just think there's so many people who could either use a manual snowblower themselves for the few times it happens, or if it's really frequent for them, hire someone to plow their driveway. It just depends. Like, we're talking about for people who are able to buy a like $2,000 or $3,000 mower or snowblower or, robot in that category. It's like you're probably also able to afford some of those other services for your home. And in some of those cases, it might be easier to just hire a human. So I think it's going to be probably a challenge for robots to continue to catch on here. I know some people love to have their lawn mowed like consistently every day or something. And of course, if you want your lawn looking pristine all the time, then you can, a robot might make more sense, because hiring someone to come out all the time to mow your lawn could get very expensive. So just things to think about as you might be thinking about robot mowers yourself. We'll see. That's a good point, Brandon. Like a lot of things in technology, I think that as the costs hopefully come down over time, productions are able to increase, that then it might become more compelling. And also as they get smarter. I mean, originally you had to set up a bunch of like cables or other things around your yard, bury them or things to actually let the robot know where to go in your yard. And a lot of them, at least that I saw at CES, they told me you don't need to do that anymore. It just can find its way around your yard, no problem. So that's pretty fun. Speaking of someone who could theoretically join the Z-Wave Alliance from earlier in our discussion, Sam, glad to see you here. I know Sam works on RA Home. That's a great smart home brand. And they have some really cool Matter over Thread products. And so nice sensors and buttons. I use a handful of them around my home. Good to see you here, Sam. Thanks for joining. Oh, you got a little bit of this like Eric Wieland green hue on your website. No, it just went away. But yeah, like there's a temperature sensor, and there's the smart button as well. Matter certified, of course, Apple Home. I find these buttons to be very nice buttons if you're into buttons. And then a contact sensor. So smart lock coming soon. So we'll see what happens there. But that's RA Home. I've talked about them here on the live stream before. But good to see you here, Sam. Thanks for joining. Oh, yes. No ground wire, I think is what I was talking about earlier. Lone Star Trent, thank you for chiming in on that with the mowers. So you don't need to have a ground, sort of a perimeter, almost like an invisible fence for an animal. Oh, I did not know there's an eclipse in the morning. Thank you, Lone Star Trent. Cool. Um, looking for an all-in-one alternative to Hoobs. I would say, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name, so I'm just not going to say it. But good question. And, oh yes, Sam is also saying the lock's coming very, very soon. That's exciting. Back to this question. I think I'd look at Homey Pro if you're into Hoobs and you want something out of the box kind of set up for you. Homey Pro could be a good option. But what you'd want to do for Homey Pro is go to their I'm out of water down here and I've been talking and it's a problem. But go to their website and you can search for the integrations that you might be interested in, right? And you could see like what support they have, making sure that they support the different actions or integrations you have, and some of those things. And you could expose to Apple Home that way, or just automate inside of Homey. So thankfully, Homey has some pretty good website documentation around specific integrations, so you could look there. Another one, of course, is Home Assistant. I think Home Assistant is kind of the de facto replacement for Homebridge, which is what powers Hoobs. But you could also look at something like just running Homebridge itself. I think it's gotten more user-friendly over the years. They have a nice like little website dashboard you can go to. So you could try that instead of Hoobs. Yeah, I have stopped using my Hoobs box as well. It was just giving me some problems, and I just I could have troubleshot it more, but only about so many hours in the day, and I just had to move on. So I would say the true universal box for all-in-one is probably Home Assistant, and getting something like a Home Assistant Green, which is going to take care of setting it up. I ordered my Home Assistant Green from Seed Studio. I think it's one of the official vendors of that, but I know they're hitting Amazon at some point soon. The Home Assistant Green is. So that could be a good option. And then if you're looking for more sort of polished and maybe less support for products, but more polished support for products, then look at Homey, which is now owned by LG. So kind of some good big company, deep pockets and support there. But let's see, is the Home Assistant Green on Amazon now? And speaking of Home Assistant, I saw Jimmy Hawkins, another great smart home creator, posting on Threads earlier this week that they got official Matter certification, which is really exciting. So I don't really cover too much Home Assistant on this channel. It's not really something I'm into, but for some of those things where you just want to get something into Apple Home, it can be nice because boy, are there integrations for it. Like it's becoming pretty big time. I'm searching for Home Assistant Green. I don't see it coming up on Amazon, but Seed Studio, I think, and there's a couple others. You can go to Home Assistant IO and see the green box there, and they will, I think they have links here, at least when I got mine, to where to buy it. And now, oh nice, it's down to $99, which is pretty swallowable price, reasonable price. And the reason I like Home Assistant Green, you can of course run Home Assistant on lots of different things in a Docker container or whatever, but this just takes care of, okay, so you can technically buy, here's Seed Studio, that's where I bought it from, but you can still buy it from Amazon, I guess, although not currently available. Okay, it's in LA right now, but yeah, I would say it might be nice to get a Home Assistant Green or Homey, depending on what your research shows you on what makes sense for Homey. So that is that question. Waiting for an ultra wideband lock. Yes, Lone Star Trent. The Slade Sense Pro, whatever they announced at CES. I have no info on when it's coming, but they did say spring, so usually that doesn't mean March. Usually probably mean April, but we'll see. I'm definitely like have my eyes peeled for finding that Slade Sense Pro and getting my hands on it when I can, because ultra wideband does sound cool. Now you don't need ultra wideband in locks. There's Sam has his new lock coming out. I don't think that'll have ultra wideband in it, but I don't know. And there's, I think, a lot of room for different types of Matter locks, do different things, have different features, of course, have different aesthetic appearances. Some people love, like we talked about last week in the live stream, the Eufy and Lockley and some other companies that basically it's like a small computer on your door, or a big computer on your door in a lot of those cases, or something that's more appealing, looks like a natural old-fashioned lock. Of course, Level is like the other extreme there, which looks just like a normal lock, but it actually is smart inside. So lots of different options for locks out there, but I agree. I think one of those being ultra wideband is going to be pretty cool, Lone Star Trent. Yeah. Brandon, I know Pete is testing a lot of locks. By the way, I don't know if it's still in this stream or not. Let me pull this up. Hold on. So, okay. So earlier, it was great to see Patrick Wessels here on the stream. Guy I knew from a long time ago as a kid, but I'm going to share his Instagram profile because he has an amazing years-long dedication on his profile to finding people who are taking pictures with iPads in public and posting them on Instagram. And it is a great follow if you just want to see people taking photos with iPads and you think it looks as ridiculous as I think it looks. But yes, he seems to be very skilled at putting himself in the right place to find iPad photo takers. So yeah, go check out his Instagram, patrick.wessels. I meant to mention that earlier because very cool. Anyways, Hall in Tech. Oh yes. Paul Hibbert. Yes. Home Assistant. Another great content creator. Oh yes. Maybe Sam is taking photos with his iPad. Oh no, it's about the Matter stuff, Aliro or whatever. So yes. All right. So I think we talked about basically everything I wanted to talk about. We answered some questions. We got the 14 minutes ago, the Australian Grand Prix kicked off. So I want to leave you with an interesting video. Now, of course, unfortunately, like Drive to Survive, which I love, is not really something safe to play around children, at least in my opinion, because it has lots of bad language in it, as much as it's a great show otherwise. But yes, a cool YouTube video related to Formula One. Even if you're not really into Formula One, I think this might kind of surprise you. You might think of people who sit inside race cars and drive around a track to not be in great physical shape. But believe it or not, it does take Formula One drivers a lot of physical training and endurance to do what they do. And So I always like to leave you guys with a YouTube video. I've been missing or forgetting to do this in the past weeks, but leave you with an interesting video to go watch after this. And Lando Norris, one of the top drivers in Formula One for McLaren, posted on his YouTube channel about a week ago of some of the diagnostics and like physical tests he does before the season. It looks pretty intense. And, you know, there's things about Formula One driving physical skills that you might not think about, like neck strength, where you have to have a really strong neck. So, you know, testing is his neck endurance. So leave you with this video. And with that, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on, oh yes, he started another channel of Apple Vision Pro people in public. That would be great, Eric. I love that idea. That was back to Patrick's Instagram. Yes, people wearing Apple Vision Pro in public would be a funny Instagram. With that, have a good night, and I'll see you next week with Shane and George.